Okay, guys, welcome to Dave's LFC Chats. And I've got a very special guest on tonight with myself and Keto. I have Paul Gorst, LFC correspondent for the Liverpool Echo. How are you, Paul?
Not bad, Dave. Yeah, all right. Cracking on. No midweek game for once. Feels like it's been a busy couple of weeks. So got a couple of days off now and gearing up for Leicester on Saturday.
Huge game, of course. We're going to get into that as well. But Keith, how are you? All good?
I'm all right. What day is it?
I think it's Wednesday.
Is it?
That's a guess.
I'm all right for a Wednesday then. Wednesday.
Right, boys, a bit of sad news earlier in the day. We'll just tip on it for a second. Obviously, Jürgen Klopp's mum passed away, 81, in Germany. And the crazy world we're living in at the moment is he can't even go to the funeral. I mean, it's madness, isn't it? But very sad because I know, as far as I know, I've read a few things. He was we're all close to our mammies, to be honest, but he was very close to his mum. And I presume you've probably written about it or talked about it today, Paul, even though you're off work.
No, I haven't today, actually. But yeah, very sad news. I mean, I think Jürgen's dad passed away when he was a little bit younger. I'm not sure what age, but I think it was about 20 years ago. So
he was 66, I think, wasn't he?
The dad, yeah, he's very young.
Yeah, so it's very sad, and it's not. I mean, she hasn't passed away today. I think it was around about a week ago or so. But it's just come out now today in Germany, and obviously reported elsewhere. And yeah, very sad news. And to be fair, I think he's done very well to just kind of crack on and get through a couple of massive games. Knowing what we know, and it's very sad. And yeah, it's just heartbreaking for him.
Yeah, I actually didn't realise. I thought I've seen it all on Twitter today. I actually thought it was today or yesterday. I didn't realise actually those two games probably he played, and you could see it wasn't quite right. And people were saying about him, Klopp doesn't look right. He's getting rattled and all this. Obviously, his mum's after passing away. You know what I mean? Which is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he took quite a lot of stick for one particular response to a reporter after the game on Sunday, and I mean, not knowing what has been made public since, you can completely understand having a bit of a short fuse. I mean, for me, I'm even surprised he's taken charge of, especially the Burnley game, because I think she passed away just before that, maybe a couple of days before. There was rumours going around that she wasn't well. For the Manchester United game in the FA Cup, but you can't report on that. You can't speculate. You just got to keep quiet and whatever else. But yeah, it's, as I say, it's just very, very sad news, isn't it?
Yeah, may she rest in peace. Okay, the last time I talked to you, Paul, was just before Christmas, and we were actually doing okay, Liverpool. We were top of the table. We were winning games. We had the injury still and stuff, but we were actually okay. We were looking forward to the new year, and let's retain this championship. But it's got a bit pear-shaped in the last few weeks, to say the least. I did a video with Gareth Roberts yesterday. I'm sure you know him from the Anfield Wrap, and we had a chat about it, and it's not all doom and gloom. It's not all doom and gloom at Liverpool. I mean, I think we'll come out of it. As we say, we have a big game the weekend. I think we'll come out of it. And I had a chat with Keith as well during the week, and I trust in Klopp, obviously, for a start, and I trust in this squad. And we've one or two players, the likes of Jota coming back, who I think can help us. And a few tweaks here and there in defence. I think we'll be okay. But what have you thought about the last few weeks from this mentality monsters juggernaut?
I mean, to be fair, you look back with hindsight now and you think Liverpool were doing exceptional to be where they were, given the injuries that they've had. They've had no centre-backs for, all season. I was at Chelsea when it was announced that Gomez and Matip were injured, so Fabinho would have to play alongside Van Dijk. And there was a meltdown to that news. Everyone panicking that midfielder was going to play in defence. And if you had to play Fabinho alongside Van Dijk now, you'd fancy Liverpool to go and win the league. That's just the way it's been. It's just it also kind of reflects the modern nature of the game, where teams are only as good as the last game, the last 15 minutes, the last result. This time last month, were we on the 10th? So I think Liverpool was still actually top of the league a month ago on the 10th of January. I think it was only on the 12th when Manchester United beat Burnley that they dropped off the top spot. So it's football perception and reality changes incredibly fast nowadays, doesn't it? But I think you're looking at it now and think Liverpool did so well for so long to stay in the hunt. Okay, it's been a really poor 6 weeks. I don't think you can get away from that. But yeah, it's just frustrating. I know from a fan's perspective, it's frustrating that kind of accepting that there's not going to be a league title again this season. But I still fancy them to comfortably finish inside the top four. I don't think there are 4 teams better than this Liverpool team. So just getting in that top four now is imperative to kind of take stock, the money that comes in with that, and that'll help them in the transfer market in the summer. And then you can go again with players fit.
Yeah.
I fancy them once again to possibly win the league next season.
I'll tell you what it does show, and it's been, I've been thinking about the last couple of days, is that when we even start looking into next season, like you've got City who've put a run of nearly 10 wins on the trot, so they're still capable of doing that. So, and they look like they've come out of their, half-season hiatus in terms of where they are. So you look at next season with their squad, they should be stringing together 10, 11, 12, wins on the trot. It's going to take another season of, I would say, 90 plus points to win the league next year when things start settling down a bit. So that's what we're looking at next year. And I still think there's only 2 teams that can actually do that in this league. So if you take City out of it, we're still in the running for a league. Obviously we're not going to get anywhere near it now with City because they just go on and go on and go on. But I think when you go into next season, you're still looking at that. And I just think this season it's just been an accumulation of, bad luck after bad luck after bad luck. And it really something had to give. And unfortunately, it's just given. That's it. I wouldn't think it would have been superhuman with everything we've had to do, from bad luck to bad injuries to mount any type of a serious challenge this year. It's almost impossible. It is almost impossible. Getting to Christmas was almost impossible in the shape we were in.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I read a piece today by I think it was Paul Cope, I think from the Anfield Rap. He wrote a great piece. He's writing a book at the moment. And he was saying that, listen, Liverpool have been so good for 2-3 seasons. They've been heavy metal football. They've been gegenpress, record amount. We've been breaking all the right records. In the last few weeks, we've been breaking all the wrong records. But they're only human. Like, they're superstars. They're on big wages. They live in big mansions. That has nothing to do with it. They're human like us 3. They've got feelings that the coronavirus, they're probably worried about their family, worried about their parents, their grandparents probably, all this type of stuff thrown in. And with the injuries, with the bad luck, as Keith says, and I mean bad luck and bad decisions to key players at the wrong time, it's a tsunami of bad luck that has caught this Liverpool team, Paul. Surely we can rebuild. I obviously say top 4 is imperative. You have to get top 4, and then we can go again, I think, in the summer. What do you think?
Yeah, it's just been a perfect storm, as you say, with the injuries, and it's not just 1 or 2. I think, for half a dozen games this season, Klopp has had as many as 8 or more players out injured. He's had half a dozen out for over 2/3 of the campaign. And you look at who are injured, they're not just kind of squad players here and there. They are whoever you consider Liverpool's 2 best centre-backs, that they've been injured all season on and off. I think Mats has played less than half in the Premier League, and that his season was over before the end of January. Van Dijk, the season started in September. He got injured mid-October. There was an international break in between that, so he was only playing for about 3 weeks. Gomez, maybe a few weeks later, he got injured in the November, didn't he? And Liverpool have had to play Reece Williams, Nat Phillips, Henderson and Fabinho. It's just been incredible, really, the bad luck that they've had in that particular area. And then you think of the knock-on effect it has with the midfield. Injuries to Oxlade-Chamberlain, he's only recently come back. Thiago was out for 2.5 months. Which is just navigated. When's last seen him on the pitch? I think it might have been Crystal Palace, the December. So everywhere you look, there's just been issues, and I also think not having the fans in there has had a massive effect as well.
Huge.
A really excuse because other teams have had to deal with that as well. But if you think of that Brighton game last week and the Burnley game the week before it, Liverpool goal down. There's no way they're kind of surrendering as meekly as they have without 54,000 people in Anfield screaming them on and letting them know, kick up the backside, look, this isn't good enough. So, as I say, it's just a perfect storm, and it's all come at the wrong time. On the other side, Manchester City have found form at the perfect time, as Keith says, 30 points from last, 30 on offer. They've ran away with it, and it's looking like they're going to be the next champions, and Liverpool now have kind of just got to readjust their ambitions and just make sure that they're inside that top 4.
That's interesting you said that, Shu, because I've been thinking about that in terms of shifting ambitions. You think there's been a shift at all towards the Champions League in terms of a focus? And, will we see more of a high tempo pressing game against Leipzig when we play them? Because we have been a yard off, and we've been yard off probably for lots of different reasons. But are we kind of looking at more of a, okay, let's just make sure we concentrate and get in top four? But when you look at Europe and everyone's in the same boat, once you get down to quarterfinals, it's a coin toss. It literally is a coin toss, and it's two legs, and who's the best over two legs. So do you think there's been a slight maybe change and focus more towards the Champions League? I know we haven't seen it yet. They haven't actually played in the Champions League, but I'm just wondering how we kind of said, listen, do you know what? Let's just make sure we concentrate on getting top four, and any energy or anything we've got left, let's just focus on the Champions League.
I don't think it will have been a conscious decision. Certainly not from Klopp.
No.
I think they're still in the Champions League. Let's go for it, and let's try and finish in the top four. Which he admitted after one of the games recently that's pretty much always the first ambition anyway, isn't it? And so it should be. I mean, fans probably don't want to hear it after 3 seasons of fighting for the league title, but that Champions League money is just so vital to Liverpool. It's vital to all big clubs, but Liverpool, with the model that they have, with the ownership, you don't just plough millions and millions every summer into it. They need that kind of security blanket for knowing that money from the Champions League is coming in. But I see no reason why Liverpool can't put a concerted effort into going, hell for leather for this Champions League now. Yeah. Obviously, they've still got the problems at centre back, but I think getting Davis and Kabak up to speed as soon as possible, and just letting them know, lads, if you're fit, you're going to be playing together, and letting them know that they've got the next few months to build up a bit of a partnership. And I think that will just give them a little bit more of a solid footing than what they've been doing every game, where is Matip going to be making it, fingers crossed? What about Fabinho if he gets injured? Is it going to be Henderson in there? I think as long as they know that Kabak and Davis are fit, then that is the basis to build from. And okay, it might not be a Van Dijk and a Gomez, but it's something to build from. And I think a lot of the games at home as well, that they're probably not going to be required to do a whole lot of defending if the midfield is what it should be. If that makeup is Fabinho, Henderson, Wijnaldum, Thiago, that will just make everything a little bit more stable, and then Liverpool can go from there.
Yeah. Well, I was just looking at the fixtures coming up, Paul. I mean, we have tough one the weekend at King Power at lunchtime on Saturday, and then we've got the Leipzig, which I think it's in Budapest. That's in Hungary. Yeah. And then the derby. Like, the next 3 games, I think are huge for Liverpool. If we were to get 3 wins there, now obviously we'd be on cloud 9. But the Leicester game is going to be tough. They're playing really well. They're actually ahead of us in the table. They're third, we're fourth. They're 3 points ahead of us. One of our best performances actually last season when we won the league was a 4-0. It was 4-0, I think, at Boxing Day.
Yeah.
But this would be a different game. But as you just said, you've hit on it there. If we can get Kabak probably ahead of Davies because of the fact he's played, in the Bundesliga for Schalke and stuff, and I think he's a Turkish international, get him in there beside, I don't know if you'd rather Henderson with him or Fabinho and one of them in the midfield. But it's just about getting that stability. And one player we want back, he won't be back this weekend, but have you any word on Jota coming back at any time soon?
Well, he's back in training, but I think he's only doing individual sessions at the moment. Yeah. Is kind of steadfast in this thing that you need to play twice with the main group before you're considered for selection. I thought, to be honest, when I seen the pictures of him the day at the Burnley game, I thought he might have had an outside chance for being on the bench against City, but I think Klopp said directly after the Burnley game that it was going to be another 2 or 3 weeks, which wasn't what you wanted to hear, but hopefully it's progressing well and on that front.
It's when you see him doing some lateral work when he's moving, jinking left and right. That's when you kind of know, listen, you're getting a little bit closer to coming back. Like, despite all the stuff you see coming out from the club with Van Dijk and Gomez, any of the training they're doing, it's just straight leg stuff. They're forwards and backwards. There's no lateral movement left or right. And until you start bringing that stuff in, you're miles off. You're absolutely.
Absolutely. Well spotted, Keith. Well spotted. But the weekend, obviously, it's huge. We need to get back to winning ways, Paul. I think I'm nearly saying it's a must-win game. Every game's a must-win game, but just to get back on the road, just to get a win. The only good thing is Leicester will come at us, and they won't sit back. They're a good football inside, which might help us too. Any type of win will do me. They're dangerous. I think Vardy's back for them now, isn't he? He played in the last game, so he is dangerous. And What do you think of the game the weekend?
He likes scoring against us as well, doesn't he? Loves it.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Tough one. I mean, every time I've seen Leicester, not only this season but last season, I really think they're a really, really top footballing team. To be honest, I mean, I still rate Brendan Rodgers. I think he's one of the best coaches in the Premier League, one of the best British coaches around, and they're a good side. I like Tielemans, and you can reel off so many of their players. Barnes, obviously Vardy's the main man.
Madison.
Fantastic losing Ben Chilwell. Indeed, Castagna looks and fine from, I think they brought him in the summer, didn't he? So, all across the squad, they're really showing why they deserve to be in there, and this is going to be a massive game for Liverpool. You're right, David, the Boxing Day game last season, it was probably the highlight in terms of performance for Liverpool for me. They went there and absolutely blew them away at a time when I think Liverpool were playing something stupid like the 10th game of the month, or because they were involved in
the Club World Cup
as well, and in Qatar and so on. But
it was the first match. I think it was the first match when we got back. I think, wasn't it? Was that the first?
Yeah.
So this is a massive game, and I mean, someone asked Jürgens before the Tottenham game in the press conference, is this a make or break period for you? And he said no, which was probably what he was always likely to say. But
I think it is.
It probably was, and I think that. I think I wouldn't say it's broken Liverpool's season, but if they don't win this one, it's massive, isn't it? And with the Champions League coming up straight after it, that's another one that they need to be thinking positively about. And then Everton, who've obviously signed on a top 4 place, so it's it's no rest at the moment for Liverpool. No, confidence is shot and bodies are weary.
Yeah. What do you think, Keith? I think we need a performance as well. Do you not think we need an actual 90-minute performance?
We were starting. Looked like we were starting to build and come out the far end, and now we've just been brought back into it. Now, listen, we've had another. It's difficult looking at that game. Obviously, when they got their tails in front, I think we just lost a little bit of interest. But there's 2 crazy goals, to be honest with you. To give them a good foothold in the game. I think the fundamentals are still good with us. I still think we're just not clinical enough. We're definitely not clinical enough. I think we give ourselves some breathing space if we're a lot more clinical, to be honest with you. And there's lots of reasons behind that, and we could it's probably another show to analyse in terms of what that is. But I think if we score first, I think we've a far better chance of coming out the far end. I think the fact that we're conceding first, I think is absolutely killing us. Yeah. It's killing us at the moment. So whatever that means in terms of taking our chances, when we're on top and we're typically starting games well, we're dominating possession, good places. But, for whatever reason, lack of movement, lack of getting bodies in the box, last ball stuff, stuff that we were just absolutely brilliant at last year has just deserted us a little bit at the moment. And maybe until we get Jota back, we're still going to have to struggle for a couple of games, to be honest with you, because he adds that other dimension. But if we're clinical, and as we were it against Spurs and as we were it against West Ham, I think, we get our tails in front. We're good front runners. But at the moment, that's not the case. We seem to be always on the back foot.
No, he's right. I think that's a good point, actually. The fact that when we score first, we don't like chasing games, Paul. We go 1-0 down. I know you need 2 to win the game, but we're not good at chasing games. We're much better at front runners, scoring. Isn't that? It's all confidence as well, though.
Yeah, the confidence is just nosedive since the West Brom game, really, and the strange one about that was West Brom didn't I think they had all 11 men around the 18-yard box for most of that game, and possession stats at half time with Liverpool were pushing near the 90 mark, and then I mean I remember watching. I was at the game obviously, and there was about 12 minutes to go, and Wijnaldum and Henderson were passing it to each other. 5-yard passes to each other, and there was no pressure on the ball, and it was just like, okay, well, everyone's accepted that this is a 1-0 win, let's get out of it, not being a great game, let's move on. And then they concede from the corner, which was, if you think back, I think if you remember it was Curtis Jones lost it.
Yeah.
Corner completely deadly. I mean, not to criticise him too much, he's been the one bright spot recently, but from that corner, West Brom get the equaliser, and since then Liverpool have just been completely rattled, and that kind of game plan of getting men behind the ball, and as long as teams have got something to fight for, then they'll work hard and they'll chase and harry, and Liverpool haven't really had an answer to it. And it was the same Same story with Burnley. It was even the same story with United. You know,
Yeah.
keep men behind the ball, work hard, and at some point you'll get a few chances, and they could have won that game with the chances they had late on. And then Brighton, who were known as a bit of a progressive football playing team, they adopted the same game plan, and again Liverpool didn't have an answer to it. So my hope is with this Leicester game, with Rodgers, you know, we know that what he's like as a coach, likes to play on the front foot, that will open up more space for Liverpool to capitalise on it. And then, as you say, they do have to be clinical.
I think that extra 10% that a lot of teams have brought into it, though, because they're playing the champions, has been a big factor as well. To be honest with you, you know, you look at how Burnley played against us, and they were dogged, and Brighton were the same. You know, they're number 8.
West Brom.
Yeah, West Brom. You know, they were brilliant. They were diving in for tackles. They were throwing themselves in front of balls. They were winning 50-50s. You know, they were absolutely tearing into us. And then when they got on the ball, they were quite progressive and they played some good football. But that extra 10% that most teams will bring playing the champions, I think has also been a bit of a factor, to be honest with you, in terms of us not being able to break down teams as well as we did last year. You know, teams almost accepted at some point last year that we were going to score. You know, we literally had so much pressure on the ball and we were squeezing until eventually they popped. You know, and it hasn't been the same this year due to the injuries and maybe just due to other teams lifting themselves because they're playing the champions. Yeah. So, as you said earlier on, Paul, perfect storm, an absolute perfect storm this season.
Well, what's the new video out for Liverpool? I think I've seen it on Sky. What, at the end of a storm, was it? The new video they had out, some film at the end of the storm. They're going to bring out a new video at the end of this year because at the end of the shitstorm. That's the shitstorm we've just had. And that was this season. That's how bad it's been. That's how bad this season's been. It's been a bloody shitstorm. But so you're Paul likes that, doesn't he? Don't want that in the Echo tomorrow, Paul. Don't want that in the Echo.
I think you're safe enough, Dave.
But so you're confident enough we can pick ourselves up. Tough games coming up. Get top 4. Whatever happens in the Champions League happens. It's a bit of a lottery, as Keith said, and we should be okay. Just build again. Get Van Dijk back. Get the players back in the summer. Maybe sign 1 or 2 players and go again. What do you think, lads?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's all just about putting the eggs in the top 4 basket now, isn't it? And they just have to make sure that they're in that top 4 at the end of May, because if it's not, it's just going to have such a detrimental impact. It could set Liverpool back years, and that might be dramatic, but it really could, I think. So I still fancy them to be in there. I can't think of the Premier League having 4 better teams than this injury hit, confidence sap Liverpool at the moment.
Yeah.
Even allowing for Chelsea's little kind of, you know,
resurgence. Yeah.
Tuchel, but I still think Liverpool will be in the top 4.
I think this week off will probably be. We're normally not good at the end of a protracted length of time without a game in between it, but I think this week off is probably coming at an absolutely perfect time, to be honest with you, in order to allow the lads an opportunity to regroup, get together, have a few meetings, have a chat amongst themselves and get themselves geared up now for this group of games, and look at the blocks. We've got a block of 3 games now and deal with it that way. You know, I know you kind of say, well, right, we look at each game as it comes up, but I think you have to look at these 3 blocks of games in terms of Leipzig, Leicester and Everton as being important that we come away, you know, at least 4 points from the league games, and then obviously a good result away from home, taking Leipzig back, and I think that probably sets us up then for a good run towards the end of the season. We've got a decent run, I suppose, haven't we, towards the end of the season in terms of fixtures, but we would have said that just after Christmas, wouldn't we? You know.
Exactly. I mean, that's key. I think this you take it game by game, and I'm sure that's what Klopp always does, isn't it? His eyes are all on the Leicester game. Let's hope we can get a win, lads. I think we leave it at that. That was unbelievable. Keith, Paul Gorst, thank you very much. Stay safe. This means more.
Cheers, guys.